China is a single-party country whose ruling party, the Communist Party of China, governs 22 provinces, 5 autonomous regions, 4 municipalities under the supervision of the central government, Beijing, the capital, Shanghai, the largest city, Tianjin, Chongqing, and other than the mainland. China governs 2 special administrative regions, Hong Kong and Macau. China is bordered by 14 countries from the north with Russia, Mongolia and Kazakhstan, from the east with North Korea, from the west with Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan and Pakistan, and from the south with India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Laos and Vietnam have a land border. The official language of China, Mandarin, is based on the Chinese alphabet with 1,700,000,000 speakers, the most numerous language in the world, one of the official languages of the United Nations and one of the most difficult languages in the world. The currency of China is the yuan. Xi Jinping is the supreme leader, president for life, president of the People's Republic of China and the most powerful person in the world according to Forbes. The country of China has diverse natural landscapes, from forest steppes and deserts such as Gobi and Taklamakan in the dry northern region near Mongolia and Siberia of Russia to tropical forests in the southern wet lands near Vietnam, Laos and Myanmar. The western regions of the country are rugged, and the Himalayas and Tian Shan mountain ranges are its natural border with India and Central Asia. On the other hand, the eastern regions of this country are low altitude and have a 14,500 km-long coastline in the southeast with the South China Sea and in the east with the East China Sea, on the other side of which are Taiwan, the Korean Peninsula, Japan and the Pacific Ocean. Ancient China is one of the cradles of civilization in the world. First, this civilization arose on the fertile banks of the Yellow River in the plain of North China. In China, there were the Shang, Zhou, Han, Xin, Jin, Sui, Tang, Song, Liao, Ming, Qing and Republic of China dynasties. The first dynasty of the kingdom of this country was the Xia dynasty around the 21st century BC, and the first government that unified China was the Che Yin dynasty in 221 AD. The Chinese political system was based on hereditary absolute monarchy for more than thousands of years. The last dynasty of this country was the Qing, which was destroyed in 1911 with the establishment of the Republic of China under the leadership of the Kuomintang. In the first half of the 20th century, China was immersed in a sea of disputes and civil wars and the attack of the Japanese Empire in World War II. On October 1, 1949, under the leadership of Mao, the Chinese Communists defeated the government of the Republic of China and the Chinese Communist Revolution won. The main conflict ended in 1949 with the victory of the Communists in the Civil War and the establishment of the People's Republic of China on the mainland. The Republic of China, led by the Kuomintang, moved its capital to Taipei in Taiwan, and its rule today is limited to Taiwan, Kinmen, the Matsu Islands, and a few other outlying islands. Since then, the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China have been involved in severe political disputes with each other over the sovereignty and political status of Taiwan. Mao first cut off China's diplomatic relations with the countries of the world and believed in total reliance on the domestic population. As the largest communist countries in the world, the Soviet Union and China had many intellectual gaps and each offered different definitions of communism. Also, a 7-month border conflict without declaring war between the Soviet Union and China occurred in 1969 and lasted relatively until the collapse of the Soviet Union, until 1991. Mao's Great Leap Forward called for communist economic programs that are seen as an abject economic failure and a major humanitarian disaster as they resulted in the starvation and death of 14 to 43 million Chinese. After Mao's death, Maoism faded and economic reforms in China were carried out by Xiaoping to establish an open economy, and China had one of the fastest economic growths in the world. The Shang dynasty is the first Chinese dynasty whose existence has been proven in modern history. The Shang dynasty ruled the plains along the Yellow River in eastern China between the 17th and 11th centuries BC. Texts written on bones dating back to 1200 BC show the earliest example of Chinese script, which is the direct ancestor of modern Chinese characters. After the Shang, the Zhou dynasty came to power, ruling between the 11th and 5th centuries BC. During this period, the power of the central government was gradually reduced by the landed warlords, and with the weakness of the Zhou dynasty, the period of 300-year civil wars came. Between the 5th and 3rd centuries BC, many independent governments emerged in different parts of China and went to war with each other. During this period, there were 7 powerful governments in different parts of China, each of which had its own king, ministers, and army. The era of civil war ended in 221 BC. In this year, the Chinese dynasty defeated 6 other kingdoms and established the first unified Chinese government. China Shi Huang, the emperor of this regime, called himself the first emperor, and implemented reforms throughout China. He standardized the Chinese language, units of measurement, the length of chariot wheels, and currency throughout the country and started the construction of the Great Wall of China. But his extreme legalism and authoritarian rule led to widespread rebellions against the Chinese dynasty, and the Chinese government of Shi Huangdi fell apart with his death. Although the reign of this emperor lasted only 15 years, the effects he created caused the current name of the land of China to be derived from the name of this dynasty. Archaeological findings show that the first humans lived in China from 2.24 million to 250,000 years ago. Human fossils from 680 to 780,000 years ago have been discovered in a cave near Beijing. These fossils belong to a man from Beijing who was a tall man and had the ability to make fire. The remains of a wise man were also discovered in this cave, which dates back to 11,000 to 18,000 years BC. Some researchers believe that an early form of writing has existed in China since about 3000 BC. In traditional Chinese narratives, the first dynasty of the kingdom of the country is called Xia, which was founded around 2070 BC. Historians in the past considered this dynasty to be a legend, but the discovery of artifacts from the early Bronze Age in Henan caused doubts about this. Of course, it is not yet clear whether these works are related to the Xia dynasty or another culture of the same era. Throughout history, China has been influenced by various religions and schools of thought. Historically, the three main schools of this country have been Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism, each of which has had a significant impact on the formation of Chinese culture. Elements of all three can be seen in religious and indigenous traditions. A research conducted in 2008 in the villages of 6 different provinces came to the conclusion that more than 2/3 of all people who considered themselves religious, i.e. 31% of all people, could not specify which religion they follow. They believed that supernatural forces dominated or greatly influenced human destiny and believed that their destiny was determined by offering a sacrifice to gods or ancestral spirits can be changed. These types of beliefs and traditions had deep roots in traditional Chinese culture and customs of local communities. Another survey by the Horizon Research Group in 2007 showed that 11–16% of Chinese self-identify as Buddhist, 3–4% as Christian, and 1% as Muslim. The Han people are the dominant ethnic group in the country, which according to the 2010 census constitutes about 91.5% of the Chinese population. The Han are the majority in all provinces of China except the western states of Tibet and Xinjiang. Zhuang with 1.3%, Manchu with 0.86%, Uyghur with 0.86% who mostly live in Xinjiang, Uyghur are Han Muslims with 0.79%, Miao with 0.72%, Yi with 65%, Tujia with 0.62%, Mongolian with 0.47% and Tibetan with 0.44% are the most populous ethnic minorities in the most populous country in the world. The official language of China is the standard dialect of Mandarin. About 70% of Chinese people speak different dialects of Mandarin. The standard dialect of this language, which is derived from the Beijing dialect, is the language of communication for various language groups throughout China. There are 229 other living languages spoken in China, most of which belong to the Chinese language group of the Sino-Tibetan family. Wu, including Shanghainese, Yu, including Cantonese and Taishan, Min, including Hakkane, Shang and Hakka languages are among the most important languages of this group. Tibetan-Burmese branch languages such as Sham, Nasi and Yi are also spoken in different parts of Tibet and Yunnan Guizhou Plains. Other linguistic minorities in southwestern China are the Zhuang, Tai, Dong, and Sui of the Tai Kadai family, the Miao and Yao of the Hmong Min family, and the Hua of the Austroasiatic family. In the northeast and northwest of China live minority ethnic groups that speak Altaic languages such as Manchu and Mongolian and several languages of the Turkic groups such as Uyghur, Kazakh, Kyrgyz and Salar. The Korean language is also the mother tongue of a group of people on the border between China and North Korea. Sirikli is the language of the Tajiks of western Xinjiang, which belongs to the group of East Iranian languages of the Indo-European family. Taiwanese natives, who are a small minority in mainland China, also speak Austronesian languages. In general, China is considered a secular country and does not have an official religion. Also, the percentage of non-religious people in China is more than half of the population. China, along with North Korea, Vietnam and Cuba, are currently the 4 countries with governmental atheism. Now 91% of China's population is irreligious, of which 67% are atheists. China has the largest number of irreligious people in the world. 9% of China's population also follow Buddhism and Confucianism, etc. Atheism in China spread rapidly after the spread of Maoist philosophy. Dry seasons and wet seasons with monsoons are the prevailing weather conditions in most parts of China, which results in a significant temperature difference between summer and winter. In winter, the northern winds blow cold and dry, and the southern winds from the seacoast are hot and humid in the southern parts. Monsoon storms, about 5 times a year along the southern and eastern coasts, destructive floods, tsunamis, earthquakes, landslides and droughts are some of the natural disasters in China. The expansion of deserts, especially the Gobi Desert, is an important environmental problem in China. Although planting trees in the desert borders has reduced the number of sandstorms since the 1970s, continuous drought and inappropriate agricultural practices have caused sandstorms that sweep north of China every spring and even reach Korea and Japan. The China Environmental Watch announced in 2007 that 4,000 square kilometers are added to the country's deserts every year. The melting of Himalayan glaciers is another concern that can bring a water shortage crisis for hundreds of millions of people.